She remembers the color of your shirt from 3 weeks ago. She laughs a half second before your joke actually lands. She finds a reason to walk past you, again, even though her desk is on the other side of the building. You've told yourself it's nothing. You've told yourself you're reading too much into it, because the last time you thought a woman was interested, you were wrong, and it cost you your dignity. So now you sit there, replaying every text, every glance, every haha she sends back, trying to decode a language nobody ever taught you. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Women rarely say, "I like you," with words. They say it with behavior, and most men are trained to look for the wrong signals entirely. So the question isn't whether she's interested. The question is, do you actually know how to see it when she is? If you've ever sat in your car after seeing her, running the entire conversation back in your head, word for word, trying to find the hidden meaning, this video is for you. Not for the guy who's chasing every woman he meets, but for the guy who noticed something real and just needs to know if he's imagining it. You're not overthinking because you're weak. You're overthinking because nobody ever taught you how female attraction actually works. You were taught how movies show it. Dramatic music, slow motion, a woman throwing herself at the hero. Real life doesn't work that way, and if you keep waiting for a Hollywood moment, you'll walk past the real one standing right in front of you. Here's what's actually happening. Female attraction is rarely loud. It's not designed to be loud. From an evolutionary and social standpoint, women have historically faced more risk in showing interest directly, judgment, rejection, being seen as too forward. So instead, attraction gets expressed through proximity, consistency, and subtle emotional investment. It's a language written in behavior, not vocabulary. And once you learn to read it, you stop needing her to spell it out, because you'll already know. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to walk you through 6 specific signs. Signs backed by real behavioral psychology, not guesswork, not wishful thinking. These are patterns researchers have observed in how humans signal romantic interest, and how women specifically tend to express it when they're not ready to say it out loud. But here's what makes this video different from every other "Signs She Likes You" video you've watched. I'm not just going to give you the list. I'm going to show you the psychological mechanism behind why each sign happens, because if you understand the why, you'll never misread a woman's behavior again. You'll stop confusing kindness with attraction. You'll stop confusing politeness with interest, and that distinction alone will save you months of wasted hope. I also want you to hold on to 2 things I'm going to reveal later in this video. First, there's one sign on this list that almost every man completely misreads, and misreading it is usually what gets a man friend-zoned without ever knowing why. Second, I'm going to show you the exact moment in an interaction where a woman decides, often unconsciously, whether to lean toward you or protect herself by pulling away. That single moment matters more than anything you say on a first date. This isn't about tricks. This isn't about manipulation. This is about emotional literacy, learning to read another human being accurately so you stop living in your own head, guessing, hoping, spiraling. Because here's what nobody tells you. The anxiety you feel isn't caused by not knowing if she likes you. It's caused by not trusting yourself to read the signs correctly. Fix that, and the anxiety disappears. Not because she suddenly likes you, but because you stop needing her to prove it every 5 minutes. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what a woman's behavior is actually telling you, starting with the belief almost every man gets wrong. Most men believe attraction looks like this. She's nervous around you, she compliments you constantly, she initiates every conversation, and when a woman doesn't do those things, men assume she's not interested. That belief is wrong, and it's wrong in a way that has cost thousands of men a real connection they never saw coming. Here's the truth. Comfort is a stronger sign of attraction than nervousness. When a woman feels safe enough to be herself around you, to tease you, to disagree with you, to go quiet without feeling like she has to fill the silence, that's not disinterest. That's a nervous system that has decided you're not a threat. In attachment psychology, this is sometimes called safe base behavior. She's testing, often unconsciously, whether she can lower her guard around you without something going wrong. Nervous energy fades fast, comfort has to be built, and she doesn't build it with just anyone. Let me give you a scenario. Picture a woman at work who barely talks to most of her coworkers beyond "good morning," but with you, she'll randomly mention what she had for lunch, or vent about a bad night's sleep, or ask your opinion on something that has nothing to do with work. On the surface, it looks like nothing. It looks like small talk. But ask yourself, why is she choosing to share unfiltered, low-stakes information with you specifically? That's not random. That's called information intimacy, the gradual, often unconscious act of letting someone into the small, unimportant corners of your life as a way of testing emotional closeness before risking anything bigger. Now here's where it gets interesting, and this is the part almost nobody explains correctly. There's a psychological principle called cognitive dissonance, and it plays a massive role in how women behave around men they're attracted to but haven't fully processed yet. If a woman is developing feelings but isn't sure she wants to act on them, maybe the timing's wrong. Maybe she's scared of getting hurt again. Her behavior can actually look inconsistent. Warm one day, distant the next. Engaged in one conversation, short in another. Men interpret this as mixed signals or manipulation. It's usually neither. It's often her own mind wrestling with wanting to lean in and wanting to protect herself at the same time. This is why you cannot judge attraction off a single interaction. You have to look at the pattern. So what does the pattern actually look like? 6 signs, not isolated behaviors, patterns that repeat. 1. She remembers details you didn't think mattered. Not just your birthday. The small stuff. A comment you made 3 conversations ago, a preference you mentioned once in passing. Memory is not neutral. The brain filters out most of what it takes in. If she's retaining details about you specifically, she's mentally prioritizing you above the noise. 2. She creates opportunities for proximity. She sits closer than necessary. She lingers after a conversation naturally ends. She finds reasons to be in the same space as you, even indirect ones. Human beings do not spend energy getting near people they feel neutral about. Proximity seeking is one of the oldest, most reliable nonverbal attraction signals there is. 3. Her body language mirrors yours. When you lean in, she leans in. When your energy shifts, hers shifts to match. This is called behavioral mirroring, and it happens largely below conscious awareness. It's the nervous system synchronizing with someone it feels connected to. 4. She asks questions that go beneath the surface. Not, "How was your weekend?" Questions about what you want, what you're afraid of, what you actually think. Curiosity about your inner world is not casual, it's investment. 5. She's consistent, not just intense. A woman who is truly interested doesn't disappear for 2 weeks, then love bomb you with attention. She shows up steadily, messages back within a reasonable window, remembers to follow up, treats you like you matter even on ordinary days. 6. And this is the one almost every man misses completely. She gives you access to her vulnerability, not oversharing trauma on day one. I mean, she lets you see her unfiltered, tired, unsure, having a bad day, without performing for you. Vulnerability is the single most guarded resource a person has. If she's letting you see it, she's telling you something she may not be ready to say out loud. Here's why these 6 signs matter more than anything she says out loud. Words are cheap because words cost nothing to produce. Anyone can say, "You're a great guy," without meaning much by it. But behavior costs something. Behavior costs time, attention, and emotional exposure. That's why psychologists studying interpersonal attraction consistently find that costly signals, the things that require real effort or real risk, are far more reliable indicators of genuine interest than anything spoken. Remembering a detail costs mental energy. Seeking proximity costs social risk. Letting you see her unguarded costs emotional safety. She's not telling you with a sentence. She's telling you with a cost she's willingly paying over and over, specifically for you. There's also a filtering mechanism happening that most men never consider. Women, statistically and historically, receive far more romantic attention than they actively pursue, which means most women develop an internal filter that quietly screens out excess noise. If she is choosing to invest energy toward you specifically, out of everyone available to her, that is not a small thing. It's a decision, even if she hasn't consciously labeled it as one yet. Now, knowing these signs is only half the equation. Knowing them and doing absolutely nothing with them is how good men stay stuck. So let's talk about what you actually do next. Here's what nobody tells you about reading signs correctly. The moment you notice them is the moment your behavior has to change too, because interest fades when it isn't met with anything. Step 1. Stop testing and start observing. A lot of men, once they suspect interest, start fishing for confirmation, asking leading questions, fishing for compliments, being overly available to see what she does. Here's the psychology. When someone feels tested, they instinctively protect themselves, and protection looks like withdrawal. You don't need her to prove anything. You need to trust the pattern you've already seen. The common mistake here is turning quiet confidence into anxious interrogation and killing the exact dynamic that attracted her in the first place. Step 2. Match her investment, don't exceed it. If she's texting once a day, don't text 5 times to seal the deal. Reciprocity has to build gradually, or it triggers a psychological effect called reactance, where a person unconsciously pulls back because they feel their autonomy is being pressured. The mistake here is mistaking eagerness for effort. Real effort is calibrated. Excessive effort reads as need, and need is the opposite of what pulled her in. Step 3. Create moments, not interrogations. Instead of asking, "So, are you seeing anyone?" Create low-pressure situations where deeper conversation happens naturally. Ask about her opinions on something you both experienced. Bring up a shared memory and let the conversation breathe. This works because vulnerability is rarely given on demand. It's given in an environment that feels safe and unforced. The mistake most men make is forcing emotional conversations too early, which makes a woman feel exposed rather than connected. Step 4. Let silence do some of the work. This is the one that terrifies most men. After a good interaction, the instinct is to keep talking, keep texting, keep filling space because silence feels like risk. But silence isn't the enemy. Silence is where anticipation is built. Psychologically, humans place more value on things that require a small amount of patience. Constant access removes that. The mistake is treating every gap in communication like an emergency that needs to be fixed immediately. Step 5. Show her your standards without announcing them. Don't say, "I don't chase women." Demonstrate it through consistency, self-respect, and having a life that doesn't revolve around waiting for her response. Women are highly attuned to congruence, whether your words match your actual behavior. The mistake is talking about confidence instead of simply living it. Nothing kills attraction faster than a man narrating his own value instead of just having it. Step 6. Address the moment, not the abstraction. When the timing feels right, and you'll know because the signs will be consistent, not occasional, say something direct, not a paragraph, not an over-explained speech about your feelings, something simple, clear, low pressure. "I like spending time with you. I'd like to take you out properly." Directness, delivered calmly, is rare enough now that it stands out. The mistake most men make is either never saying it and living in permanent ambiguity or saying it with so much anxious buildup that it feels heavier than it needs to. There's one more thing worth saying clearly, because it prevents a mistake that unravels everything else. None of these 6 steps work as a script. The moment you treat them like a formula, checking boxes, waiting for the correct cue to move to the next stage, she will feel it. People are remarkably good at sensing when they're being managed rather than genuinely engaged with. The steps aren't a sequence you perform. They're a mindset you operate from. Patient, observant, self-respecting, unafraid of the outcome. Apply them like a formula, and you'll come across as calculated. Apply them as a mindset, and you'll come across as a man who simply knows what he's doing, which, at this point, you actually do. Here's the thing about all 6 of these steps. None of them require you to become a different person. They require you to become a calmer, more observant version of who you already are. Reading her signs correctly isn't about strategy. It's about paying attention without needing an outcome, and moving forward without needing permission for every step. That combination, attentiveness plus self-respect, is rarer than you think, and it's exactly what separates the men who build real connection from the men who spend years decoding texts at midnight and getting nowhere. I know why you're really watching this video. It's not just curiosity. It's 11 p.m., and you're rereading a conversation for the 4th time. It's the quiet moment where you wonder if you're building something real, or if you're the only one who thinks so. That feeling is exhausting, and I'm not going to pretend it isn't. But here's what I need you to understand, because it will change how you carry yourself through this entire process. The anxiety you feel when you don't have certainty isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that you care about the outcome. And caring about an outcome you can't control is one of the hardest things a human being has to sit with. Most men try to solve that discomfort by seeking constant reassurance. Another text, another glance, another "is she into me" video at midnight. But reassurance is a temporary fix for a problem that only patience actually solves. Here's the reframe I want you to take from this video. Silence, space, and not knowing immediately, none of that is weakness. It's not you failing to figure her out fast enough. It's the natural pace at which real trust gets built between two people who are both taking this seriously. Anything built instantly can collapse just as fast. What you're doing right now, learning to read her patterns instead of chasing certainty, is what men who actually build lasting relationships have always done, quietly, without needing applause for it. And here's something worth sitting with, even if it's uncomfortable to hear. Sometimes the signs simply aren't there, and no amount of rereading old messages is going to manufacture them out of politeness or friendliness. That's not a failure on your part. That's clarity. And clarity, even painful clarity, is worth more than months spent in a fog of maybe. The goal was never to force a yes out of ambiguity. The goal was to finally see clearly enough that you stop needing to ask the question at all. Think about who you're becoming in this process. A man who can sit with uncertainty without spiraling. A man who can notice real signals instead of manufacturing hope out of nothing. A man who doesn't need constant confirmation to feel secure in himself. That version of you isn't just better at reading women, he's better at life, because the same emotional steadiness that lets you wait for clarity with a woman is the exact skill that makes you unshakable in every high-pressure moment you'll ever face. So if she's shown you the signs, the memory, the proximity, the mirroring, the questions, the consistency, the vulnerability, trust what you've actually observed, not what your anxiety is telling you at 3 a.m. And if she hasn't shown you those signs yet, that's information too. Painful, maybe, but better than months spent decoding a story that was never really there. Either way, you walk away from this with something more valuable than an answer about her. You walk away understanding yourself better, calmer, sharper, less desperate for certainty, more grounded in what you actually observe. That's not a consolation prize. That's the entire game. She may or may not be the one revealing these 6 signs to you right now, but somewhere out there, someone is, and you're finally going to know how to see it. If this hit something real for you, hit subscribe, because I'm breaking down exactly this kind of psychology every single week. And drop a comment below telling me which of these 6 signs you've noticed. I read every single one, and honestly, some of your stories are the reason I keep making these.